our songs. Whoa. It's gonna be long and some old hay. Let's get this thing started. It's my Riverside. Got you sipping on some moonshine. Little 4-1 night of rodeo. You could be my tail-leg Judy in the back of a jacked-up tailgate, sitting around watching all these pretty things. I'm chilling with some Skinner and some old hay. Let's get this thing started. It's my old baby. You can find me in the back of a jack. Get down in that Georgia clay and I'll find peace. That kind of party.
Right, what a great day to be in Texas. If we can, let's all start moving down towards the stage down here. We've got some shade down here too. You just got to bunch up near the front. We're ready to get this show rolling. Have been friends with him for many, many years, and that's why we're here today. We're here to show support for a dear friend and somebody that we're all extremely proud of, and somebody that has been there fighting the fight for us along the way. We live in the greatest country in the world, and we certainly live in the greatest state. How about a yeehaw for Texas? You bet. You know, when I started walking up on the stage, I looked over towards that Baptist church over there. And when you look at that Baptist church and you look towards it, you're going to see something that you will not see in any other state in the country. If you look over there, you're going to notice those flags that are flying. And in every state in the union, if the U.S. flag is flying at 20 feet, the state flag flies at 17 feet. It flies 3 feet below the U.S. flag, but not in Texas. In Texas, if the state flag is flying at 20 feet, it's going to fly at 20 feet next to the U.S. flag, the only state in the union. When we came in as a republic. We came in proud. Texas is the only state in the union that can divide into 5 states if we wanted to. There's a lot of great things about Texas. When you look at the shape of Texas, you can go to Japan and show the shape of the state of Texas to a child in a school over there, and they're going to know that's Texas. It's the greatest place in the world, obviously, for many, many reasons. I want to talk for just a moment about the things that keep us free here in the great state of Texas and in this great country. I'd like to see a show of hands of how many servicemen, how many veterans do we have out there? How many men and women have served in the armed forces? Look at all the hands that are up. You bet. Let's give them a big round of applause. Because of them, our freedoms and our liberties are protected. They swore an oath. They swore an oath to defend our Constitution. I carry the Constitution with me everywhere I go. This Constitution is my driver's license. This Constitution is my concealed carry permit. This Constitution is, well, I have the real ones too. Don't look at me like I'm trying to be an outlaw. But this is what all of these soldiers that just raised their hands swore an oath to support and defend against all terrorists, both foreign and domestic. And that's what we want the people that we send to the Capitol building in Austin, and that's what we want from the people that we send to Washington, D.C. We want them just to defend the Constitution and the amendments therein. That's what freedom is all about. That's what makes this the greatest country. That's what makes Texas the greatest state. Let's have another round of applause for those veterans. You bet. Now, if we can, I want to have a moment of silence for all of the veterans, men and women, that we've lost defending those freedoms, defending that Constitution, protecting our liberties. If we can, let's have a moment of silence for them, because freedom is not free. Thank you very much. God bless them soldiers. God bless Texas. You bet. We've got a lot of distinguished guests that are here today. I know Brandon appreciates those guests being here today. Brandon and I have had an association, like I say, for many years. There's always a funny story that I like to tell about Brandon, and it has to do with his wife, Fawn. Many of you know Fawn. Fawn comes from Oklahoma. It's north of Dallas somewhere is what I've been told. And her daddy is a prominent judge in the state of Oklahoma, and her daddy is a Democrat. And I've got college-age daughters, and I've had conversations with my daughters, and I've tried to steer them in the right direction and tell them what I expected of them when they started to seek out a mate in their life. And Fawn's daddy had that same conversation with her. And I've heard Brandon share the story a couple of times. It's real funny. But one day, Fawn's daddy sat her down, and he said, now, Fawn, I know you're a smart girl. I'm very, very proud of you. But there's two things that I want to make sure that you do not do. I do not want you to marry a Republican. You see, he's a staunch Democrat. And then he also said, and the second thing, do not marry a Texan. Unfortunately, he's got both of them as a son-in-law with Brandon, but I know that he's changed his tune, and he's very, very proud of him today. I appreciate everybody being here. I know it's hot. We've got some distinguished guests that we're going to bring up and introduce. Texas is obviously the best place to be. When you look at what we're surrounded with here with the pastures and the hay rolls and stuff, there is no better place to be than Texas, and no better place to make the important announcements that are going to be made today. Before Brandon gets up, though, there's a couple of other distinguished people that want to get up here as well. They have been champions in this last session as well. They have been defenders of our freedom, defenders of our liberties. They've been up there pushing back against the Obama administration, trying to make larger government, trying to take things over. They've been helping Brandon in the fight for state sovereignty. They've been helping him in the fight for landowners, protecting their rights and water rights. They've been fighting to help protect education. When you look at all the youth here today, that's a wonderful thing to see, because this is the future of Texas. And looking at these people here, these young people, we can be proud. I think Texas is going to be in good hands. The first person that I want to introduce today, he's a congressman from South Montgomery County. He has represented District 15 in his first year in session, and he has done a fantastic job. He's somebody that not a lot of people heard of, but people were wanting change. They weren't wanting the kind of change that Obama was talking about. They were wanting a different kind of change. And they put somebody in office who stood up, was defending liberties, defending the Constitution. And I'd like to introduce to you, for him to speak to you for a moment, State Representative District 15, Steve Toth.
Hey, I want to thank you all for being here and supporting Brandon. I just could not be more excited. How about you guys? Woo! You know, Brandon, everything right, decent, and good about Texas is represented in Brandon. And I know that those of you that know him and love him, that's why you're here, because you believe the same thing about him. And soon all of Texas is going to know and feel everything that we do about Brandon Creighton. What do you say? There's a war for the hearts and minds of people in Texas. Moderates want to make Texas look more like Washington, where the state and the federal government tells us what to do and how to live. There is a battle that we need to fight, and we need to push back, and we need to tell people that we need less government, less regulation, and more liberty. What do you say? Brandon upholds those values, and that's why the vast majority of conservatives got behind him at the start of the 83rd legislative session, and we made him our caucus chair, and he did not disappoint us. Brandon has done a great job. I am so excited for him, and I know that y'all are as well, and we've got a lot of work ahead of us, but we're excited for the challenge, and we cannot wait to get behind this guy. I want to introduce now Cecil Bell, State Representative from House District 3. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Everybody on the porch, if you would, come on down this way, because we're fixing to get this thing kicked off. I'm not going to speak but a couple of minutes. I'd also like to acknowledge one of our other House members, Ralph Sheffield, here in support. And as everybody moves down, I'm going to, as I get to the point where I actually introduce Brandon, we've got some really cool things that are going to happen, so you want to be down this way close. First off, I want to thank you all for being here, and I want to thank Steve for the introduction. And I really want to thank Brandon for inviting us all out here today to share this time with his family. And I want to thank him for the representation of our community and his time as our representative in the State House. I'll keep this short because, one, I know it's hot, and two, I know you came here to listen to Brandon and not to me. With that said, there are a few things I would like to say about Brandon. Brandon Creighton's the kind of man that'll look you in the eye. He's the kind of guy that when he shakes your hand, you know the deal is done. Shortly after the 83rd session was convened, as Representative Toth said earlier, we were asked to determine who would lead. Well, the conservatives in the Texas House chose Brandon Creighton, and he stepped up. When Texas needed a champion for tort reform, Brandon Creighton stepped up. When Texas needed a champion for our 10th Amendment rights, Brandon Creighton stepped up. Today, Brandon Creighton is stepping up again, and I know he'll be that same kind of champion for Texas agriculture. We can count on Brandon, and he can count on me. And I would ask you to join me in supporting him during his campaign. And with that, I would ask you to help me in welcoming fellow businessman, rancher, your friend, my friend, Brandon Creighton. I also want to introduce the world-famous Kilgore College Rangerettes, which will be performing their version of Kickoff to Brandon Creighton's next great adventure.
God bless Texas with his own hand. Brought down angels from the promised land. He gave them a place where they could dance. If you want to see heaven, brother, here's your chance. I've been sent to spread the message. God bless Texas. Colorado's too cold.
Hey, how is everybody? Hey, this is the deal. You know you have dedication in the Texas heat to be out here today, right? Yeah. Well, we're going to churn it and burn it and turn it around so we can get in some AC. Is that a deal? But you're going to hear something good first. Are you ready? Okay, I'm so glad you're here. Cecil, I want to thank you for the introduction. How about a round of applause for Representative Bell, Toth, and also Bear Prince. It's an honor to be here with you today. I want to thank all of my family, my friends, my colleagues. I have some state representatives here that were so kind to be here with me. My desk mate, Ralph Sheffield, is here on stage from Bell County in Temple, Texas, and I know we have a few more, and it means so much to me that you're here. All of you have been with me over the years, and I very much appreciate it. 8 generations of my family have called this part of Texas, Montgomery County, home. Back before statehood, when Montgomery was just considered a settlement, a trading post, and serving as your state representative over the last 7 years, I've had the privilege to work alongside great conservatives like Governor Perry, like Representative Bell, Representative Toth, all my colleagues in the House that have supported me, and we've worked in the trenches to do good things for Texas, like Congressman Brady, who's here with us today, as well as our great local leaders. Our Montgomery County elected local leadership, in my opinion, obviously are the best in Texas. I want to give them a round of applause for all that they do for our community. And we have so many of those elected officials here, and we have so many new candidates and new blood that are looking to dedicate their time to public service, and we have to encourage that, pat them on the back, and thank them for offering their time in that way. In the Texas House, we've cut taxes and balanced budgets. We've ensured water funding for future Texans. We've improved education for Texas children. But what I'm most proud of is my stand against the continued overreach of the federal government. 4 years ago, just a few months into President Obama's first term, I was proud to stand on the front lines fighting back against Obama's mission to expand the federal government. My effort was called House Concurrent Resolution 50, Many of you recognize it more for what it is based on, which is the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution. I will always defend the rights of all Texans against big government, wasteful spending, and politicians who think they know best. As I said in 2009, directly to Harry Reid, directly to Nancy Pelosi, directly to the President, let Texas run Texas. My message of respecting the 10th Amendment gained national support as 36 other states followed our lead in standing up to Washington. And Governor Perry and conservative leaders echoed this message across the country with great success. But with President Obama and his administration still in power, we must not back down from this fight. In recent years, I've continued to work with fellow conservatives in the Texas House to push back on Washington. The Texas economy has outperformed all others, and while President Obama empowered big government bureaucrats, Texas conservatives empowered the people. And because of that, because of empowering the people, empowering you, our results speak for themselves. What we do in the legislature in Austin is a function of what you tell us to do and what your wishes are. In Montgomery County and so many counties like ours, we are known loud and proud in Austin, Texas. Let me tell you, it's because of you. So they face challenges navigating government bureaucracy, but they never before had to deal with the kind of overreaching federal government that we have in Washington today. And Texas farmers and ranchers need someone who's focused on their priorities, because their priorities impact every one of you in our economy on a daily basis. Someone who will stand up and fight to protect their rights and their way of life. That is why I'm proud to stand before you today to announce that I'm running to be the next Agriculture Commissioner for the great state of Texas. As our Agriculture Commissioner, I will promote Texas products and Texas jobs. I'll defend global food security, and I will be a tireless advocate for ag producers. Again, that affects all of us in our entire economy. These producers take risk every day to provide what is needed to fuel our Texas economy. And today, agriculture in Texas faces many challenges. From protecting private property and water rights to defending against Obama's EPA, I understand these challenges because my family and I have shared them for generations. Our current Ag Commissioner, Todd Staples, he is a great man, and he has been an excellent Ag Commissioner, so let's give him a hand. Todd yesterday, and I wished him well in his race for Lieutenant Governor and thanked him for his service to Texas. And as people here know, agriculture issues affect all of us. Rural Texas continues to intersect constantly with an expanding suburban base. And we see that right here in Montgomery County. Our state's economy is part of the reason Texas remains the best place to raise a family and start a business. The backbone of this economy remains Texas agriculture, and that sector of our economy generates $100 billion a year in annual economic impact. Our products around the world bring back $6 billion a year. Our products around the world bring back $6 billion a year to the Texas economy, and more than 1,000 people a day are moving here. It's essential that elected officials who plan for a Texas of tomorrow understand and uphold the values that have shaped our state. These are the values I've fought for since my election to the legislature. I've been a constant champion for Second Amendment rights and protecting the rights of the unborn. But I'm very proud of my Montgomery County roots, maintaining my Montgomery County roots, dedicating my time to public service, maintaining our family ranch, and raising my family here as generations of my family have done before me. And I believe Texas voters are ready for a new generation of conservative statewide elected officials. So leaders that know how to stand up and fight for Texas, that'll take a stand and be for something, right? The choices Texas voters make today will shape the Texas of tomorrow. To know where you want to go, you have to know where you've been. And everyone here is part of what makes Texas great. There is a lot of work to be done. I've never backed down from a fight. It's not in my DNA. It's not in yours either, right? So will you stand with me? Will you stand with the next generation of Texas leaders that will never quit fighting for Texas? Will you fight for me for liberty, for economic freedom, for Texas agriculture, and what it means to Texas? I'm Brandon Creighton. I'm asking for your support and your vote to be the next Agriculture Commissioner for Texas. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless Texas.
If you haven't climbed us down in Llano,
Brandon, tell me a little about your announcement today. The announcement's been so exciting. We've got hundreds of people out here in Montgomery, Texas at Ransom Steakhouse kicking off our candidacy for the Ag Commissioner in Texas. It'll be the 12th Ag Commissioner for the state of Texas, as Todd Staples has announced he's running for Lieutenant Governor. And we've got our friends and family and supporters. So many people have supported me over the years for state representative. And I'm so proud to be taking this next step to be a candidate for consideration for the next generation of elected statewide conservative leaders.
What differences can you see that if you can get in there that you can try to make?
Todd Staples as commissioner has laid a great foundation. I look to take his lead and build upon the foundation he's laid, promoting Texas products not just around the state, not just around the country, but from an international trade standpoint, and making sure that our economy, with ag being the second economic indicator only to oil and gas, continues to thrive and promote in this state, so all others around the country and the world know what Texas has to offer.